Hello, this is Michèle at Jasami Publishing Limited with our new episode of Jasami Bookworm Podcast. Today I would like to chat with you about how a writer creates a story. And I have to say that there are as many variations to that as there are writers. There's an old adage, everyone has a story in them. You do too. It's a matter if you wish to tell the story, not just in a conversation, but have it written down for those to enjoy today, tomorrow, into the future. But where does a story actually begin? We'll take the example of one author looking at a photograph. You have to see what's in the photograph. It's a beautiful beach, maybe somewhere in Greece. The sea is a gorgeous sky blue, and the sky is a brilliant blue. The sand is very white. There's the curve. The beach gives way to rocky, craggy hills. And there are two people sitting out on the beach looking at the horizon. As a story maker, what are the questions that you will ask? First, where are they? It's a beautiful sunny day. Are they happy? Are they sad? Are they celebrating something? Maybe they're going to get married. Maybe they're just breaking up and having that conversation. The storyteller will look at that scene, and it will be different for everyone. What the feelings that they'll have when they look at it, as well as their imagination carrying on with who the people are, their histories, and maybe what their future will hold. Another photograph is an older couple in their 80s celebrating a wedding anniversary. How happy do they look? Are the children with them? Grandchildren, great-grandchildren? Think about the history, the lives they've led. That would make a long, beautiful, romantic novel. Or maybe they're retired detectives and it could be a murder mystery. The limits are untold. Actually, better said, there are no limits. Another source of inspiration is your nearest little coffee shop. Go sit, have a coffee and a treat, and watch the people around you. Think of what their history is, because the most important part of a story are the characters. The protagonist, they don't have to be perfect. In fact, it's better if they're not, because they can grow and develop as the novel unfolds. Now, I've talked about inspiration from real life, such as photographs or your nearest cafe, or taking a walk along a canal, or whatever it might be. But let's have a little chat about fantasy. That definitely has to come from our imagination. Absolutely. Look at the worlds that have been created by J.R.R. Tolkien, as well as Martin with Game of Thrones. So think of the fantasy. Now, Game of Thrones has quite a few historical points in there, which is one of the things I enjoyed most about it. So you can take something from history and blend it into your story. You can create your own worlds, as N.C. Campbell has done for Call of the Void. She's created her own worlds, the own characters, the people who are there, the world they inhabit. How has it come about? How do the people live, exist, continue on? And again, it's the characters in the story that make the novel unfold so well, because we care. We might not like them. In fact, the bad guys we probably won't if they're really well written. And when you become involved with the characters, that's a well-written story. Now, developing characters is different for every author. Sometimes they will just unfold as the story is written. And sometimes, if it's a longer story or a trilogy or sequels, then character descriptions are very important because you need to understand the character, where they've come from, where they're going, what are their aspirations, what are their beliefs. Are they kind? Are they evil? What do they want? How are they driven? You can also write about the physical characteristics, not that they'll be used directly in the book, but that will help a picture grow in your mind of exactly what they look like, how they carry themselves. Are they petite? Are they tall and gangly? Whatever it might be, that too will add to the character in the story. Do they have a limp? Have they been hurt? Have they lived through a war? The history of a person makes them who they are in the novel and as the story develops. So knowing your character on a basic level is very important. Character descriptions can be written before the novel ever begins, or if you've written a novel and you want more depth to those characters, it's totally fine to go back and write those detailed descriptions so that you understand and can implement that throughout the story. The scene is just as important. If you want to create a novel, for example, Blade Runner, most of it was dark and rainy, and so the weather set the tone for what the characters were living through. It was very important at the end, spoiler alert, when they escape and they head to a beautiful land and there's green hills, there's no city, it's very peaceful and beautiful. So that creates what they're going to, something joyful. So the atmosphere, the place, the setting are also essential in creating that novel. In a way, it's a character in itself. So we've talked about characters briefly, and we've talked about the setting briefly. Dialogue. Dialogue pushes a story forward, sometimes more brilliantly than descriptions. So descriptions count too. Each character will have their own way of speaking. Some may be articulate, some may have a stammer, some may mumble, some may have an accent, speak with local idioms. So each character has their own voice. And through how they speak is also another aspect of that character. And the continuity of the dialogue throughout that novel is so important because that is the basis of the characters, unless they're going to go off and go undercover and then create a new person. And obviously, there are always exceptions to the rule. That's why rules are made, so we can have the exceptions. But learn the rules before you start making exceptions is very important, especially when it comes to writing. So we've discussed characters, settings, and dialogue. I have a challenge to those of you who haven't written a story but feel the need to write. They want to create something. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to offer that you write a story of 1,000 words or less, and there's an email, info@JasamiPublishingLimited.com. Write the story, email it to us. We'll do an evaluation, and I'll select the top 2 stories and publish them on our website. So that's a challenge. Enjoy the story. Enjoy the process. So I'll let you in on a little secret. Later on this year, we are going to be offering 3 master classes all about writing and editing and an insight into producing it for those who wish to self-publish. So stay tuned for updates on that, and if you wish to accept the challenge, I look forward to reading those stories. So this is Michèle from Jasami Publishing Limited with my shout out to all new writers. Go and look at a photograph, go out in the world, picture something, write a story about it, create a world in your mind, whatever it might be, and write that story. My shout out is to all new writers. The stories have to come from somewhere, and we look to you to produce it. So, Jasami Bookworm Podcast, thank you for your time today. And as always, I wish you a sunny day.